compliments to you all for putting your phones up without me even having to instruct a single one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate how wonderful you guys are. Okay, so this bell work, we try to make the bell work to be like review of stuff we've been doing to make it kind of make sense, and because we want you guys to be able to do it on your own. The whole point of bell work is to give you a chance to try some math without my help. Then we go over it, and then we fix any mistakes if there were any, right? This might have been a little different for you because we haven't really talked about this year. You maybe have seen it with other teachers, of course. Alexis, head up, please. You might have seen it with other teachers, of course, but we haven't talked about it together, all right? So I want to reintroduce you guys into something that looks like this and see if anybody knows what this is. Anybody know? Yes, Q. Yep, she said it so quietly, but that's exactly right. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Really, really good. PEMDAS. Is there anybody in the room, and it's okay, that has never heard of it? You don't have to know how to work with it. Never heard of it, Elisa? Okay. This is what we call our order of operations, okay? If you don't need to write what I'm about to write, you don't have to. Like, Putsali does not have to write this down. She has this memorized, okay? This is just a way of knowing all those letters because this is the order that we do operations. Remember, operations are adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Those are our operations. I'm going to write out the steps right here. If you want to write them, you can. If you already know them, that's fine. But I will say, did I spell that right? I'm not sure. Spelling is not a big deal in this class. The numbers are. If I come around and help you in a little bit and you don't, and you're still confused about your order of operations, I'm going to expect that you have written this on your paper, okay? So if you are not familiar with PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, some people say, to help them remember. Alan, head up, please. Multiply, divide. Guys, this is like the rules we live by in math. Like law, okay? Can't break the law. And, as you guys know, there's a whole lot more in math than just adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. But when we do have to do those operations, we have to follow the rules, which is a very, very strict, specific order, okay? So I will be referring to this a lot in today's bell work and our lesson, okay? I see some of you writing when I give you a minute to finish. Are you in? Is it open for you? Do you have scrap paper? Do you need it? We were having, in my first grade, no one was able to log in with connectivity issues, so let me know if you're having a problem, because I feel like it might be in the room. All right, ready? Ready? Okay, first of all, simplify. I'm going to, Max, come on. I'm going to talk about this word simplify and this word expression. When I'm teaching you math, when I'm giving you information about how to work with these numbers and letters and stuff, it's not just like, do I know how to put things in my calculator? You have to be able to read this and interpret it. It's a language, okay? Simplify, expression, what is an X? Why is there a Y? What does this mean? We have to be able to read that and interpret what it's asking for us to do, okay? Simplify means do as much as you can do to the problem. It might end up being just a number. It could be a number and a letter. It could be a lot of different things. But do anything that you are able to do. Simplify. An expression is the easiest way to put it is it's not an equation. There's no equal sign in the problem, okay? It's just 3x minus 4y. That's how we would say it, right? Every single one of you, if I asked you to read this, I know you well enough now that you would say 3x minus 4y. And that's exactly right. But let's take it a step further. What does it mean when we say 3x? Sylvia, what does it mean when you have a number and a letter standing next to each other like that? What does it mean? Multiplication, okay? And so you have 3 times x minus 4 times y. That's technically what it is, okay? So what we're given here is a value for the letter x, a value for the letter y. And what we're going to do is substitute these numbers in for the letters. Let me say that again. I'm going to substitute these numbers in for the letter. Another term besides substitute is plug in, okay? If you are into sports, substitute should make sense. Well, let me get to that in a second. So first thing I'm going to do is take out those letters and plug in the numbers. Now, Sylvia told us this is 3 times x. So when I put this 3 in for x, I have to show multiplication somehow. We have lots of different ways we can show multiplication, right? Dot, parentheses. What are we not going to use? An x. We never use an x for times anymore. I like parentheses. You like a dot? You use the dot. And then minus 4, and then substitute in the 7. So what I was getting at a second ago, a common mistake I see students make right here is they leave the x in. They'll make it like 3x3, or I don't really know what is going on, but they'll just leave the letter in there. And so I want to think about a substitute teacher. If there's a substitute, that means your teacher is not there and somebody is in their place. Or in sports, like, I don't know, basketball, you sub out a center, right? You substitute, you take the center out, the point guard, whoever, I don't know any other positions. You substitute that player out and you put somebody in their place. They don't both stay in the game. So think about substitution as take out the letter, put in the number. And then we are following our laws of math and following order of operations. Now, understand this, guys. Listen. I know I'm taking a long time on the bell work, but this is important stuff. Parentheses does not mean these parentheses. Yes, those are called parentheses, but when we talk about parentheses in Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, what we mean is if there's something to do, let's make that a 4. 4 plus 2, for example. If there's some operation I can perform in the parentheses, okay? Not these parentheses. Like there's nothing I can do inside that 3. Okay, these parentheses mean multiplication. All right, there's no exponents. The next thing is multiply. So I would do 3 times 3 is 9. Now be careful. We want to, so watch. If I just kept writing, if I just brought that down, kind of like we do with our equations, we bring everything down. You don't have to do that step. I'll show you when we do another one here in a minute, but you don't have to write every step. But what students will do is they'll subtract now. They'll do 9 minus 4 is 5. And then 5 times 7. But subtraction is way at the bottom. We still multiply before we subtract. And it feels uncomfortable, right? We read from left to right, words, books, sentences. We read this expression left to right, but you don't always solve left to right, okay? That's where this comes in. All right, 9 minus 28, right in my calculator, and I get a final answer of negative 19. Okay? Let's try one more. And this is going to help us with what we're learning today. We're starting Module 2 today, and this is going to help us understand that, okay? All right, so again, I have an x and a y in this expression. I'm going to simplify it by substituting 3 in for x and 2 in for y. Yes? Yes, yes? Max, are you doing this with me? You have it done already? Okay, well, let's do the second one. All right, so here we have an exponent in this one. Remember where that button is on your calculator. Oh, I don't even know if we've talked about it. Have we talked about it? I don't know if we have. We'll talk about it now. So there's 2 ways to put exponents in this calculator, okay? We have something called a quick button. A quick button is when the only time we can use this button right here is if we're to the second power, right? So 3 to the second power, 4 to the second power, 100 to the second power, 1.5 to the second power, 1/2 to the second power. You can use this, what we call a quick button. But what if it was something other than a 2, which we will have? That's when you'll use this button. Okay, we don't need to do it today, so I'm not going to go into it. But there are 2 buttons here, and this is the one we would use if it was anything else. Okay? So, guys, order of operations matters. We can't do 2 times 3. That's wrong. There's no parentheses, but there are exponents. We would do 3 to the second power before we multiply. So 3 to the second power is 9. I'll use a dot this time to show you. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you show multiplication. So that's 2 times 9. And if you want to simplify this, that's fine. And then we have multiplication. And then write in your calculator if you need to. And that would give you 25. Okay? We simplified it down as far as we could go. All right, so new concept for this class, plugging in or substituting numbers and simplifying following our order of operations. Questions for me? All right. This is where I need you guys to pay attention to what I'm about to say. And everybody's eyes on me. So, Jocelyn hasn't given a book, but I'm going to use Jocelyn's book as a example. So if you have a book at your desk, that means you brought it back as instructed. You're going to be ripping out pages, okay? If you don't have a book, you're going to wait patiently, getting a piece of paper out, because you're going to have to be writing the notes by hand. We don't have any new books. I need you guys to bring your books back. Remember, that's the new thing. So I'm giving you some advice here, okay? So these actually rip out pretty easily, but you have to take small sections. Do not try to take a whole handful. What's going to happen is you're going to rip through the page, okay? Take your time. We will wait for you. I want everybody doing it, though. And take just like a few pages. Keep watching me because I want to show you one more thing I want you to do. I'm not trying to micromanage you. I just know where some people in first period made some mistakes. So when you rip it out, put it somewhere to the face down. And then just keep putting those pages face down. That way when you pick it up, you put it in your binder, it's in the correct order. Okay? So we are going to rip out all of Module 2, which is pages 69 through 130. On your mark, get set, go, but it's not a race. Okay, so I want to see everybody that has a book ripping. Jocelyn, I have a binder. So I'm going to get you all set up, my dear. I'm going to hold your books for you. You don't have to carry them. I'll keep them. And every time we have a new module, when you're done with the ripping, put it to the side, or I'm sorry, put your book to the side, and then just put your little packet in your binder. Okay, so we're going to be starting on this page. I have it written here. I'm going to start collecting bell work while you guys are doing. Yeah, all of it. All of it. It's in there. We're just starting on it, but so no. I mean, sorry guys. I need to figure out a better way. Anybody else I didn't collect their case? Sorry, thank you for bearing with me, guys. I'm super sorry that it's taking so long. I collected this while you had them turn this in. Remember when you went to the locker room? The cell work, the test review, all that stuff. Okay, I'm almost ready. I promise I'm almost ready. Every day, guys, hopefully we will help us in. You guys are bringing the book through at any time. Okay. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. If you guys have any suggestions for me on a better way of doing this, because that's a pain. I might just have to go around the room and just look in your notebooks or something. I'm going to think of that. Okay. Okay. So, I'll give everybody time at the beginning of class every day to do their own ripping out. Okay. Because obviously some people haven't done it yet. But if you don't have a book, you should have a piece of paper, and at the top of the paper, you can write 2.1 day 1. That's it. That's all I care about, 2.1 day 1. And you can just watch. This one, we're not doing any work. I'm just going to show you what to do, what it's doing. Okay? Liliana, take your time, sweetie pie. I don't want you to... Okay, guys, let's get started. Jace, is this all you're turning in for me? You don't have the bell work, the notes, the homeworks, anything else? Okay, all of those things need to get turned in for me. No? All right, guys, here we go. So we have this new notation that we're going to start seeing. Everybody right here, paying attention, writing on your own paper. You don't have to write anything yet. Come on, guys, let's get focused again. I know we had a little craziness there. Alan, heads up. Alan. Gabriel, can you just nudge him for me if you feel comfortable? Alan. All right, guys, you're going to start seeing this notation. It's called f of x. You might see g of x. You might see h of x. It can be any letter of the alphabet, okay? What that really means is y. It's a fancy y. It's fancy, okay? F of x is another way of saying y. It's kind of like how your parents gave you all names. Why? Why did your parents give you all a name? You're not all called like boy, girl, whatever, right? Not everyone's name is John or Susie, right? You all have individual names for the most part. That's why we do this notation. That's why we do this notation. It's to name different functions. F of x, g of x, h of x. So you can tell them apart. So we can discuss them and things like that. Also, that little letter in the parentheses means x, right? The x. And so when you see f of -6, that's how you would say it, that's like your x value. That's just like what we did in our bell work, except it's written a little differently. What this is saying is x is -6. So what you do is substitute or plug in the -6 for the x, and you can see that was all done here. -2 times -6 plus 9. And then multiplying comes before addition, right? So -2 times -6 was 12. And then 12 plus 9 is 21, okay? So we're going to practice some of these, all right? So I'm going to rewrite this f of x equation on the next page. So go over to 73. This is where, if you are writing on your own paper, where you're going to join in and write this down. So at the top of your paper, you have 2.1 day 1. And you're going to write this is example 4. Okay. It's just continued on the next page. And I'm just rewriting what was on the previous page, -2x plus 9. Okay. And we're going to plug in the 4. Okay, you have to pay attention here. I'm throwing some brand new stuff at you right away, right off the bat. We're going to plug in 4 everywhere we see an x. And then after we do that, we'll add 3 to the whole thing. So look, this is why I don't like using the book. I don't like these fill in the blanks, but we have to try to get used to them. So let's try to do that, okay? So f of 4 plus 3. So remember, this is the x value. Anywhere I see an x, here it is, I'm going to plug in whatever's in the parentheses. So it's kind of started for us, right? -2, and then in parentheses, I would put the 4. And then there's the plus 9, and then the whole thing plus 3. It's really confusing at first. Take a second and really look at it. Plugging in the 4 to this is in these brackets. See these brackets? And then there's a plus 3. So let's talk about brackets before we solve this. Brackets are like a second level of parentheses. So sometimes we see parentheses and then another set of parentheses around that. Sometimes this is like more proper parentheses and then brackets. But they're still just fancy parentheses, okay? So what that is saying is do everything in there first. Because remember, your order of operations is parentheses first. So inside the brackets, also known as parentheses, we'll just follow order of operations. We have -2 times 4 plus 9. So I'm going to multiply first. When I multiply -2 times 4, I get -8. And then there's the plus 9, and there's the plus 3. Finishing up the parentheses, -8 plus 9 is 1. And you can put that in your calculator. I'm just doing it. And then 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay? So simplifying all the way down as far as we can. All right? So I don't think the math is difficult on this. Like, I think you guys know how to pick up your calculator and put in -2 times 4, things like that. it's understanding the notation. Like, look, just looking at that, that looks really, really complicated. Take a second and look. There is a minus in between two brackets. There is a minus in between two things. So we're plugging in 5 into this equation, and then we're plugging in 1 into the equation. So 2 for the price of 1, plug a 5 in, and then a 1 in, and then we'll subtract the two numbers. So again, they're setting it all up for us. Negative 2 times 5 plus 9 minus negative 2 times what's going to go in this parentheses? What? 1. Good, Jace. Okay, so inside our brackets, also known as parentheses, follow your order of operations, which would be multiply and then add. So negative 2 times 5 would be negative 10. Negative 10 plus 9 is negative 1. Again, you can use your calculator for that. Let's simplify over here. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Stay in the parentheses. Negative 2 plus 9, right in your calculator, will give you a 7. And then we'll put that in our calculator. So we successfully plugged in 5. We successfully plugged in 1. And we got these two separate answers. Now we're just subtracting them. Okay? So remember, we need negative 1. Oops. Why can't I put the negative? Clear. Oh, she's acting funny. Are you guys witnessing this? Nothing's happening. She didn't get a lot of sleep either. Okay, let's try this one. Hey, what's going on? Oh. Okay. Anyway, negative 1 minus 7. Negative 1 minus 7 equals negative 8. Okay? I want you guys to try this one. Now, whenever we're working on these pages, you can write anywhere you want. They give you some space over here. This one's pretty short. I think you could plug it in right underneath it. But when we get to this one or this one, we would want to use other space. If we were going to do all those, I'm not sure yet. So guys, do me a favor and try just plugging in the negative 4 in here into this equation and simplifying it and see if you can get it right. Everyone should be trying. Try. Try. So this new way of writing is called function notation. And we'll talk more about what functions are tomorrow. But it's a little harder than this, so I wanted to do something a little bit easier on the day that we were doing all the ripping out and everything. Okay. What would the first step be, guys? What would I do first? Hisham, do you know? No? Lisa, what would I do first? Do you know? We're not distributing here. We're just multiplying. Negative 3 times negative 4, that's what that means, right? Negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. And 12 plus 2 is 14. So when x is negative 4, we get 14. You can kind of think of it as when x is negative 4, y is 14. Because this is just another way of saying y. What is y when x is negative 4? Okay? Let's do this one together. And then I have one more example to do. So I'm going to use this space over here. Okay? So I'm going to be doing, I write so big, I'm going to try to go out here. So f of 5 plus 8 is the problem. Okay? So I'm going to plug the 5 in first. Since there's something to do after I plug in the 5, see the plus 8, it's added on to the end. I'm going to give myself some brackets, which are just fancy parentheses. Could I have used parentheses instead of brackets? Yes, that would have been fine, okay? So parentheses or brackets, it doesn't matter. Negative 3 times, what do they want us to do? 5, right? That's the x value that we're plugging in, plus 2. and then at the end, plus 8. Okay, so in the parentheses, we do our -3 times 5 first, okay? So I can keep using brackets, or I can switch to parentheses. Again, please don't feel like that matters. It doesn't. -3 times 5 is -15 plus 2, right? That's what's left in the parentheses. You want to keep going in the parentheses before we deal with the 8. -15 plus 2, when I put that in my calculator, I get -13. Do I need the parentheses anymore? I don't. If you kept them on there, if you did this, that's the same as just writing it like this. Either one is fine. There's only one thing left to do, though. -13 plus 8, right in my calculator, is -5. I actually am running out of time. So we're going to come back together tomorrow. Like, did you guys do mental health lessons in middle school? You did? Okay. So you'll see tomorrow is a whole different bell schedule, and we're together for a really long time. I'll have people making up their tests. And we will be doing a lot of this tomorrow. No, it's 4th. No, last year was 4th because it was my planning. I was super happy.